All right, everyone. I wanted to start off today talking about how liberals have completely sold out. When I was young, when I was, this is 20 years ago or thereabouts, when I was a teenager or so forth, liberals typically they were anti-war. They were in favor of environmentalism, and I mean real environmentalism, generally speaking. They were not particular fans of the judicial system and so forth. This has gone 180 mode. Unfortunately, what has happened is that the so-called liberal movement is now completely in favor of the courts because, of course, Orange Man bad. They are now in favor of ultra-processed foods. There are literal legacy media articles, as I stated the other day, that are literally defending that concept, pesticides and things like that. So the environmentalist aspect, what existed then, no longer exists at all. It's simply not there. It's only NIMBYism. It's basically don't plant a tree, pay me, and I'll plant a tree. You give me $10 for my specific charity, and we will plant a tree for you. You don't have to put in any effort. All you need to do is pay us money. War. The liberal movement was generally anti-war. You look at the Iraq War or Afghanistan, stuff like that. They became now pro-war. They're in favor of limitlessly funding Ukraine. They're in favor of limitlessly funding basically everyone, as long as they're fighting a proxy war. So we don't need to expend any soldiers. We don't need to lose any lives, or only a few. All you have to do is pay money. You'll see that this is a common theme here. We see the same with tariffs and free trade. All of a sudden, and this is inexplicable, liberals have decided that they are pro free trade. The problem is there is no free trade. Other countries have been tariffing us for, in some cases, decades, and the United States simply hasn't done anything about it. Well, that's not really free trade now, is it? It's more like stupid trade. So another country can say, hey, we're going to put an 88% tariff on US steel or grain or something like that. We're not allowed to respond, though. Then we become the bad guys, even though those other countries are tariffing us not without good reason. This has happened repeatedly. There are so many examples of what used to be censorship is a great example for let me pontificate on that. It used to be that the left said, fuck the FCC, and if you're offended, turn it off. There are literal songs along those lines. Now they say, if I'm offended, I'm going to turn you off. Well, that's rather interesting. Again, pretty much a 180 from your prior position. And these are people in many cases, who had had principled interests for an extended period of time. These are not, young tyros that are like 17 years old or something like that. These are people that now are, mid-age. They're our age. Most of my audience is in its 30s or thereabouts, late 20s through early 40s. And people, a lot of them, they sold out effectively. They're sellouts. There's no other way to put it. You used to be a principled liberal. You believed in free speech, free expression, and the right of privacy, and all of these other things. Now, all of a sudden, you've done that 180, and now you think, well, you have the right to speak freely. Don't get me wrong, but you're only allowed to speak the way that I want you to speak. You're allowed to defend yourself, but only with certain weapons. Some of them are too scary. States have rights, but those rights are significantly limited, even though the Constitution doesn't provide for that. I'm half expecting them at any given moment to end up in the MGTOW movement or something like that and say, well, women's suffrage has gone a little bit too far. Yeah, maybe we need to have more slavery in the country or something like that. I mean, this is not hyperbole. This is actually a possible position that they would take. Complete sellouts, basically, on virtually every issue. Again, they were generally oppositional to the judicial system. We had back in the 90s and 2000s, for example, instances where police would plant crack on people and then they would haul them in. Well, I mean, they weren't even smoking crack, but it was found in their vehicle, so obviously they're a criminal. And then they would prosecute them based on that. And there were multiple instances where they were caught out doing this in multiple cities across the United States. But suddenly, the same left that complained about that all of a sudden is a big fan of the judicial system. Oh, the courts are great, because they're stymieing Orange Man and his particular policies and stuff like that. All of a sudden, the same people that I literally saw marching around when I was at UVM, they had peace flags and stuff like that. They were marching around the campus um, and opposing the Iraq War. And I opposed it too because it would never made really any sense anyway. I mean, and this is one of the better examples of the United States actually managing to do nation building. There aren't many examples of this, just to be clear. When Iraq is basically the golden standard, that's probably not the best scenario that you can imagine. Anyway, they were marching around anti-war. They're simply saying the United States doesn't need to be involved in this particular conflict. Um, those same people, by and large now, are in favor of proxy wars that are going on all around the world where people are dying. Now, I support the U.S. military in clearing out shipping lanes and, preventing piracy and stuff like that, although I am myself a pirate. Don't worry, R, matey, I'm not going to invade your shipping lanes. We're privateers here. We'll get a letter of marque and there'll be a clanker army. It'll be very, very hilarious. Trust me. But while that makes sense, all of the other engagements that we typically are getting involved with are nonsensical. For example, with Ukraine, and this is one thing that I differed with Lev on. I don't believe in continuing to front the Ukrainians. It doesn't mean that I hate Ukrainians. No, not even in the least. I like Ukraine. I'd love to visit there, actually. See the mountains and the fields and so forth. They get a lot of sunflowers. Those are always cool. But at the same time, it's not my fight. It's not my nation's fight. It makes no sense to be even involved in the slightest with this particular struggle. But liberals have decided that it is transcendental that we be, part of that struggle. Oh, we have to give them 100 billion more dollars because if we don't, evil Russia will win. And of course, Orange Man bad and Orange Man friends with Putin even though he frequently criticizes him. It's a very strange situation. This happens all the time. It's very, very odd, actually, to me. So you've gone from anti-war to pro-war. In some cases, it depends on who you're at war with. You were against, anti-environmentalist stuff, sort of a NIMBYist. Now you're encouraging processed foods and pesticides. I couldn't even believe that when I saw it the other day. You went from if you're offended, turn it off to if I'm offended, I'm going to turn you off. And you're also now in favor of the court system. That makes a whole lot of sense. No, it doesn't make any sense. That's the whole point. It's ridiculous. Liberals have completely sold out, at least like the NIMBYist, NPR cup wielding liberals. They've completely sold out. As far as the left goes, I mean the leftoids, the far left, like the post AOC crowd, at the very least, they have some principles. They want to smash the system. I don't believe in the way they want to smash it, but at the very least, they're consistent within their views. Liberals appear not to have this happy eventuality. That's about all. Peace out.